Hello and welcome to the Pocket Gamer podcast. It's episode number 516. My name is James Gilmore and joining me today it's the return of Matthew Forde.
Hello.
Return to the audio show, a first time premiere on the YouTube version, which if you're watching, hi as always. You've been doing the Pocket Gamer Biz podcast though, haven't you, Matt? So you're no stranger to being videofied on YouTube at this point?
I have, yes. We've all been embracing the new digital age.
The new. How are the groupies? Are you able to keep them all off?
Yes, I'm handling myself fine, thank you. Yes, going outside the house, cameras everywhere, that sort of thing. But
it's a burden.
I'm just a normal person. It's fine.
Yeah. Good to know. So we've got a bunch of news. We've got a lot of new releases to catch this week, and of course, because we haven't spoken to Matthew in a while, I'm sure the word, I don't know, Smash Bros. Or Pokemon or something like that will pop up, and we'll have to deal with all of that. So we're going to launch straight into it right now with news, including the likes of a new game which might be the Harry Potter style game that you're looking for, because some of the other ones, they've been a bit disappointing. We've got info about Gwent? I'm leaving it in. Gwent's latest expansion, the Master Mirror, plus info about the Call of Duty Mobile Season 7 and what is going on there. We also have a bunch of new releases, including the likes of Bombot's Arena, Demon Blade, Dead Cells on Android, Neon Flytron, and more. But first, it's the news. And that's the pause, and then I scoosh.
And the nice jingle plays.
Yeah, but not live, not on YouTube. You get the real, the full behind-the-scenes deal. What am I starting with? I should probably pick a thing. Oh yeah, okay, let's start with this one. Makes sense. Click away. So on top of all the other tumultuous goings-on in the world at the moment, we're also dealing with the coronavirus, and now clearly we've had a massive issue over in the States and globally, and it's an issue that's been persisting for decades and is still carrying on to this day. This ties into Activision's choice to delay Call of Duty Mobile Season 7 in support of Black Lives Matter. It's impossible for anyone not to have noticed this, and it's impossible for us not to address it, nor should we avoid it, because it shouldn't be a controversial thing to say. I'm not a religious person, Matt, but weirdly the best sort of explanation or rebuffing of this came from a preacher dude who I saw. Who someone says, like, people taking objection to the notion of the statement Black Lives Matter, because people have that kind of some people say that they come up and go, well, actually all lives matter, actually, and do that thing.
They're not understanding the point.
Willfully misunderstanding the point. But the best sort of most simple advice, because a lot of people on the right wing and people who are anti this kind of stuff tend to be Christian, and if you look at the Christian advice, it's like Jesus said, blessed are the poor, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be the guy at the back of the crowd who puts his hand up, actually, blessed are the rich as well. Actually, Jesus. It's like, yeah, that wasn't the point of the statement. The point of the statement was that the poor were being treated particularly badly compared to the rich, and he was trying to redress a balance. That's what this is. That's what this has always been. If you find that remotely controversial, then I don't know what to say to you. And the fact that companies are reacting to this in various different ways. So in this instance, like, people who are planning to release stuff maybe have held it back for a little bit to give more oxygen to the other discussion. And perhaps, the content of the games isn't ideal. Armed military conflict. And maybe that's not a great look for them. And we've seen companies react in good ways, bad ways, middling ways. If you're in any question as to what our stance is, then we just said it, obviously solidarity with the whole thing, and we've been retweeting people, or I've been retweeting people on my account who are in a better position to talk about it and have resources and all the rest of it. So if you want to look at anything of that, go and find the information from them, because they're in a much better platform to speak about it than I am, obviously. But
yeah, 100%.
Clear support, and it has had a knock-on effect in the industry. So Call of Duty Season 7's being delayed. There was going to be a PS5 announcement that got pushed back as well. I expect to see a couple of other things getting shunted around, and it's not like we didn't want these things. It's not like I'm not looking forward to see the PS5. I'm well excited to see it, but I can wait a week or two.
It's a time and a place thing. They've read the room well.
They have.
It was the right thing to do, and it's a very pivotal time at the moment, and hopefully some good comes of it.
Yes, hopefully. So you can hold your breath for a little bit while people address their attention in the right place. So people have generally been quite good, but naturally we've seen some unpleasant reactions to it all, and it's like disappointing, but to be expected. Hopefully some good and positive stuff comes off the back of all of this, so fingers crossed for that. Now, straight up mobile game news, specifically iOS and Android, and PC for this one. Gwent. They've got a new expansion coming out called the Master Mirror expansion. It's going to be arriving on June the 30th, I think. This thing runs and runs. The Gwent has really got legs. I was surprised I don't know if I was surprised at how well it took off, but having an individual an individual card game starting up inside another game that's caught quite as much fire as this. This isn't like Rockstar and Red Dead Redemption where you can play poker inside.
Yeah, that was literally my example I was thinking of, yeah.
Because, I mean, that's an established game. This is their own game. It was their own thing built within it. And, yeah, this seems to be insanely popular. So what you wind up with is faction-specific cards, one of which is going to be a legendary card type. So you can evolve both the appearance and the power as battle wears on. You also get some neutral cards as well, 11 in total apparently, and then on top of that you get new statuses and abilities when it all goes live, including Veteran, which apparently increases the power of the unit by 1 at the beginning of the second and third rounds, and Conspiracy, which triggers whenever a card is targeted by a spying unit and makes it more powerful as a result, which is kind of neat. All this stuff is they're available in like pre-order bundles if you want to actually cough up for the expansions themselves. But the game itself is still free, and it's iOS, Android, and all the rest of it. If you wanted to go and have a look,
I'm interested to see if we get a new game out of Cyberpunk. Obviously, this came out of The Witcher, so Cyberpunk is due to come out in September.
That's true.
Will they have an in-game version of Gwent or something all different altogether that spins off?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. They might wind up putting something. It'd be tricky though, wouldn't it? Because I guess a card game might see kind of antiquated within the context of the universe, right? If they're playing an actual physical card game in Cyberpunk, it doesn't seem like. Surely they'd be doing something with hollow chips and something cyberpunky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think what you could do with it. Yeah, it's a bit more difficult than just cards. Something more simple.
Some glyph-based games that'll have chips. I mean, it could just be a card game anyway. But
it could just be they have an arcade machine or something like quite cyberpunky, and then that game spins off into its own.
Could be like Yakuza.
There you go.
Everything should be like Yakuza, Matt. It's the best game. I want to highlight something quite neat that one of our guys did. So Dave Aubrey, who had his birthday this week, and we were all celebrating with him by saying happy birthday, and he was going, I hate birthdays. That was his main comment on it. But he's drawn my attention to something which is quite neat for the Switch. So you might, if you have a Switch, you might have one of the original Switch docks, i.e. the big old, vice-like grip thing. You slam it in the top of. Presumably you've got one. I remember at the beginning when they launched those things, they had some issues with like the screen being scratched by people taking it in and out. I assume that's been resolved now.
Not really.
Any problems? No, really?
I mean, with the actual docks themselves, obviously the ones that came out originally, you've still got to be very careful with them. I don't think I've seen any major updates to them so far. I think it's just people are very cautious,
Right. So with your dock, you do run the risk of like scratching it if you do it a bit aggro.
I do. I am conscious of that when slipping in and out, so I'm just very, very cautious.
Oh. Okay, I assume that would have been ironed out by this, but that's interesting. Well, if you do have a problem with that, or what Dave's issue was it's not a particularly portable dock. You want to take it around everywhere with you, and you want to bring it to your friend's house and plug stuff into the TV, of course. And the Switch itself, the unit, is good, but then you've got another great big, even larger thing to have to stick around it and put in your bag. They have released some like third-party docks that allow you to perform the same function in a much smaller little base unit. But the best way they found of doing it, or Dave's way, is you want to keep all the original components, all the actual official Nintendo stuff, but you just want to make the container smaller. And there are little home kits that you can get, where you get a small little plastic shell, and then instructions on how you disassemble your existing dock, and then take out all the gear, and replace it, put it inside this new tiny little container, and it functions just as it ever did. And he thought he'd put his money where his mouth is and actually buy the thing, put it together, and do a little guide and see if it works. And it works, and it takes something that's like this and turns it into something that's like this tiny little thing that happily sits underneath, boof, little red bob, and you can dock it, and it works a treat.
Very good. What's that called?
We do have links for it. I don't think it's got like an official name. It's just called like, Switch Dock or Alternative Switch Dock or something like that. But what we've done is we've put links to everything in the article itself. So if you go onto PG and you just look for how to tear apart your Switch Dock, it will give you all the information. And I quite like this slightly modding customization stuff. I find it cool.
Yeah, the Switch community is huge for that. Especially with like Joy-Cons and everything like that. There's been loads of people playing around with them, which, there's some fantastic designs to come out of it, especially.
Yeah, they've been tearing it to bits. And he's one of the people who's very, very into getting rid of the Joy-Cons altogether. And he's got a couple of, I think, Hori split controllers is the ones he's using. And he's a massive fan of those and advocates for them wherever possible, which I can kind of understand. I have used the Switch a little bit, and they do feel a little bit small, Matt. Do you find it like uncomfortable, or are you fine with it?
It's fine. I've got used to it now. It's been 3 years or whatever. So
has it been that long? Oh God, probably has.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, I mean, we've just actually not just, but obviously Animal Crossing came out, took over the world. My girlfriend bought her first Switch because she's Animal Crossing mad. So she bought the Animal Crossing Switch itself. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking about, the dock and everything like that. And there isn't literally no differences.
There are no differences at all?
No, obviously to the original one, apart from obviously the design that's on the top of it and everything. It's got a little Tom Nook waving on an island helplessly. But apart from that, there isn't no improvements or anything like that. Just reverting back to the screen thing, it's just reminded me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, go and check out what he's done with it, because I was quite impressed, and I like the idea of everything being small, more compact, and also it looks less likely to scratch up your screen, which that's probably good.
Yes, I will be checking this out.
So go and have a look at that right now on the front of PG. Now, there was something news-wise you wanted to mention that you were talking about.
This is Pokemon Sword and Shield news?
Probably. I knew it was going to be Pokemon flavoured, so...
If it's not Smash Brothers, it's Pokemon, isn't it? Let's be honest. So, so this week, the Pokemon Company dropped some news about the upcoming expansion. So this is the new DLC that's going to arrive. So we've got the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. Okay. Their names, they're interesting names. But yes, so the first part of the DLC, the Isle of Armor, is coming on June 17th, and we got a new trailer showing it all off. Bit of both, to be honest. We got to see the second part of the DLC, which will arrive in the fall. But yeah, it just looks pretty great. I don't know if you've seen this trailer at all.
No, not I. So is it just showing you it's an entirely new area of the world, or what's it actually giving you?
Yeah, so it's sort of a new area altogether. So it's a bit similar to in the old anime. You used to get so you had Kanto, which was the original Generation 1, and then in the animated series they went off to a place called the Orange Islands.
Right. Yes, I've heard.
And they went and explored all the lands there, and they've never done anything like that in the games. Okay. So this is sort of a similar thing for Generation 7, I think we're on. No, Gen 8. I always lose track of anything. I believe it's Gen 8 we're on. I'm not like you're going to fact check me.
You just say numbers as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So this is like a new land altogether. The first one is more of a grassy plain and everything like that. It seems to have more Japanese heritage to it. And the second one is more mountains and the snow everywhere and everything like that. But they're bringing in a host of new Pokemon, which I'm very excited about. A lot of returning Pokemon. And it's a brand new story. And for me, the most exciting thing is that you're obviously not starting a new game, which is very common with the Pokemon series. You'd get red, blue, and then they do yellow, gold, silver, and crystal, and so on. And you'd be starting the game again, and you get the additional stuff at the end. But this time it's like, I can just pick up from the 60 to 70 hours I've put into it, and go, which is a lot more interesting. To me personally, I know a lot more people would prefer a third game, but for someone who doesn't have as much time to dedicate to another 60, 70 hours to get to there where I was. I'm excited to see what they can do with it.
I remember you saying that you were pro the DLC option rather than the straight up like new game start all over again.
Yeah.
And it does make it feels like it's adapting to the modern world a bit more. And I don't know. I guess with the fan base being so engrossed in like going 0 to full and then back again, and just that loop, I guess, is familiar and kind of a nice feeling to revisit, I suppose.
Yeah, very comfortable.
But it's impractical and it's a bit daft. It does seem just like, well, again. But I've got them at least for like a bit, and then you can maybe do a refresh, in a while. But the idea of doing it the same thing again every year, it's copycat. Like,
yeah, I mean, this isn't ideally what I would do with the Pokemon series. I'm still waiting for the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon, which many people would like.
Really?
I think a lot of people. Yeah, I think lots of people would like that. I don't know. I think it's obviously a series that sticks to its roots, but it does adapt. They every generation, we have more open world with Sword and Shield more than ever. We have the I can't remember the names of them now. There are the open plains. There is a wild areas, I think they're called, something like that. So there's more stuff like that. So they are adapting the series. It's just can be a bit slow at times, but it's still exciting. I still enjoy Pokemon. They still sell immaculately well. So
they do. They cannot be stopped, forced to contend with, and they will continue forever because it's just shipped insane.
Gotta catch them all, James. Gotta catch them all. Forever and ever.
Catch yourself. All right. Well, you can check out the new areas and whatnot in the download if you want to go and check that out now. Upcoming, I want us to draw attention to this. It's a game called The Academy: The First Riddle, which is kind of floating itself on... It seems to sit somewhere between... It's a bit Harry Potter and Wizarding School. It's a little bit X-Men and Xavier's Academy, and I suppose it's a little bit like Umbrella Academy as well, if you read that comic or watched it on Netflix. Either way, it looks like it's going to be a bit more interesting, a bit more puzzling and involved, a little bit more what I would have liked to have seen in that Harry Potter game. I forget which one it was. Not the AR one, but the one...
Not Wizards Unite.
No, not Wizards Unite, but the one, Wizarding World or whatever it was called, where you would take control of an actual wizard and you're in the school and you're running around and doing things. The free-to-play one. The one that let you play up until a point where your wizard got caught up in some vines and was being strangled, and then it went, you can pay to unlock this to save your wizard, which was like...
Was this Magic Awakened? Or Hogwarts Mystery? There's
Hogwarts
so
Mystery. Hogwarts Mystery, that's the one. Yeah. But just that moment was the most like cynical free-to-play gating I have seen in quite some time. We've all had to adjust to a bit of free-to-play in our lives because of the marketplace. But this, like, watching your poor little wizard being slaughtered by an evil plant, and then just at the point where they're like, it was like, freeze, you need more energy. Or you could just let them sit there for ages and suffer. Or just give us 99p and we'll let them go free. And you're like, wow, that's unbelievably cruel. So it was a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people. This looks like it is embracing, if not the narrative side of it, and I think there is a narrative side, certainly the puzzle mystery aspect of it, where you need to explore this school that you're in. There are around like 200 puzzles and riddles to solve all around the campus. The classic easy to learn, hard to master thing is pitched. It was interesting because we actually reviewed a game of theirs before. A Faraway 3 Arctic Escape is something we reviewed, which was actually quite neat and minimal and tidy. It didn't blow us away, but it was a sort of interesting enough little 3D puzzler that worked, and we thought had promise, and keep an eye on the studio. And this looks a lot more polished. They've gone for the whole... I mean, it really does look like, full 3D classrooms and kids and wandering around and all that business. So we think there might be something to this. We're looking forward to actually playing the thing, of course, but it's coming out on Steam, iOS, and Android on June 19th. So I guess about just under 2 weeks to go for that one. The studio developing it is Pine, and we've got links to their site there. So we'd suggest maybe bookmarking it, and obviously when it comes out, we'll see if it's any cop. But it's nice to have a few things to look forward to.
Absolutely. Xbox times Harry Potter.
Exactly.
Got me interested.
And plus, we need to go and have a look at the PS5 announcements and all that when it happens. Yes, we're a mobile podcast, but more and more now this stuff bleeds into itself, and
Yeah.
Xbox is going to wind up revealing more information about its cloud services, I'm sure, and how you can play things on mobile. And I'm very interested to see what Sony do, or if they do anything, whether they address it at all, or whether they're like, PlayStation now on your phone, or something like that, because I'd really be surprised if there isn't some kind of concession.
Not in this first conference, I think they're planning, because they're going to do all games out there. Is the big message thing. But I think they're planning like 3 or 4, aren't they, of these things by the sounds of it.
3 or 4 what conferences? Yeah. Everything's teased out bit by bit by bit now.
So that'd be cool if they go, this one's going to be all PlayStation now and streaming and all that, like.
Well, I say it because Sony are the ones who really did try and bundle the Vita into the PlayStation 4. They really tried to. It didn't work, I hasten to add, but they really tried to pitch it as like...
Rest in peace, Vita.
Yeah, RIP. But the whole thing of crossplay, of buy it on the PS4, you can also play it on your Vita, and the idea that your saves can transfer from one to the other and they can talk to each other. And like there was a real idea of like, let's put them as part of the same ecosystem and try and really push the mobile portable side of it as well as the console, which Microsoft traditionally hasn't done. Now they're leading right into it with the Project X Cloud, and I want to see what Sony's answer to that is. And I might be surprised if they didn't have something for us.
You never know. They do seem to be scaling back a little bit on VR at the minute.
Yeah.
I mean, as in marketing-wise and everything. I'm interested to see if they do PlayStation VR 2 for that respect. Or
I think they are. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen some stuff about PSVR 2. So
I hope they do. It's just their marketing and everything. Apart from Iron Man VR, there's not really anything big from Sony at the minute.
That's true.
So you never know. They might go back into handheld. They might dip their... What's it say? You dip their wands back in or whatever. Dip
their wands. So you dip your toe in waters. You stick your wand in, I don't know, somewhere where it really doesn't belong, I expect.
Well, yes.
Gandalf's beard. That's where you stick it.
I watched Lord of the Rings, by the way, this week for the first time.
For the first time?
Yeah, just a segue, yeah.
I'm struggling with that statement. Not that it's Citizen Kane or anything, but it's quite a big cultural thing to not have seen. How did you not see that? You're a nerd, right? You like
you
nerd
think
things
so,
like the rest of us?
It's just one of those things I never got round to. I've had friends going on about it for years saying you've got to watch it, and telling me how it's the best thing ever. And I've watched the first 2, and I'm going to watch the third one this weekend.
How does it play to a first timer? Did you like it?
They're very enjoyable. They are long, as obviously famously. A little bit of pacing issues, but I do think there are some great moments. I love them overall. They're very, very much they're very enjoyable. And I think I can imagine rewatching them.
Yeah,
they're very good for that and everything.
Yeah, Peter Jackson is not one to hold back when it comes to like, just make it 4 hours long, 4.5 hours long. Who cares?
I respect that. It was funny. We were saying this would never happen today. If they did this today, it would be 6 films.
Oh, right. I see what you mean. Well, I mean, that's what they did try and do. That was the problem with The Hobbit, wasn't it? Because they had, with the Lord of the Rings, you had 3 huge books they had to try and squish down into, like, three movies. And it wasn't, like, even with the 4-hour cuts or whatever, you're still leaving loads of stuff out of the books. Whereas with The Hobbit, it was one teeny tiny book, and they did exactly that. They're like, well, we want 2 films. No, 3 films. We want to just milk this for all it's worth. If they could have split the last one into 2, they would have. To justify more ticket sales. So yes, you're kind of right.
But very good, Anna. 2 towers. The first hour, 2 towers. I thought that was the peak.
It's bang. I'm a Fellowship guy. The first book's always the strongest, and that one's the best film for me. It's got the most colour, best introductions, best Balrog, all that good stuff. But yeah, mobile games, I suppose. Let's talk about some new ones that are going to be out and about this week. Out and about this week. Let's start off with Dead Cells, a game that's been out on iOS for a while, but has now appeared over on Android. It's been I think it's 10 months since it came out, and I think maybe Android people were will we ever get to see it?
August, I believe.
But it's out right now. It is obviously premium, just like it is over on iOS. If you've never played it before, we're talking about this. It's a bit Castlevania, it's roguelike, it's doing that very hard but rewarding combat mixed with memory recall of I went over here and found a key, so now I need to backtrack across the map and find this bit, and it's good. It's suffice to say it's good. We liked it, we reviewed it, we thought it was cracking. It's not cheap on mobile, so it's £7.49 currently over on Android as a new releases, but it's already got like 2,500 5-star reviews, and everybody loves it. So it handles well. We did play it on mobile, and as always, it's just the controls. That's the only issue we have, really. Is it going to work? And it does. The controls handle themselves well. Arguably, if you had a Switch or something, might be better to play it on that. But if iOS or Android is your primary console, then you're not going to suffer from it. It works really well. So Dead Cells out right now, premium. Let's do something new. What have we got new? Okay, this is an interesting one. Android again, and just on Android for the time being, is Neon Flytron, which seems to be catapulting in on the back of all of this cyberpunk business. We were chatting cyberpunk earlier, and we already mentioned a few podcasts ago, there was one game which came out which was basically seeming to 100% lift off the cyberpunk thing. Like, the trailer was just like, oh, they're doing cyberpunk for mobile before it even comes out. This one is an auto runner. Or an auto flyer, I should really say. And you're taking control of flying hover cars, shooting through a bunch of neon lit streets, and trying to avoid smashing into things, picking up floating coin glyphs, whatever they are. And, there are spinning fans, you've got to fly through them. It's that classic avoidance auto runner thing. Just drag your thumb around on the screen to send your car flying over. The interesting thing I found about this was, they seem to have got the licenses of real cars in it. Even though it's only early access, I was kind of flicking through some of the menus, and they're not all available. But it looks like they've got actual licensed cars from big folks that they've then covered in neon and cool light bars and stuff like that, and made fly.
Yeah,
I should probably say
that's quite rare.
Yeah, you don't see too many of them now about these days. But it's fairly light because it is just an auto flyer thing. And, you just keep going for as long as you can. It's a score chaser. You get different updates and bits and pieces. But the actual bones of it looks really nice. The flying is quite satisfying. It doesn't go super fast, at least not at the beginning. And I want to see whether they start ramping up the speed.
I was going to say, the visual look very appealing.
Nice, isn't it? Yeah. It's genuinely, it's a good-looking thing. It's sort of almost cheating when you're doing cyberpunk stuff. Because if you want anything to look good nowadays, it's just let's put some neon lights, just put some pink, put some purple, put some blue, bit of orange, that turquoise colour, and everything just looks nice. It does. It's why we loved that, it's part of the Final Fantasy VII aesthetic that's also back at the moment, which was all, it's purple and turquoise. It's that bisexual lighting, as it's called. And it works really well. It looks lovely. And in this case, it's smooth. It plays nicely. I have played it. But it's only early access on Google right now. So it's free over on Google Play. It'll appear on iOS later at some point, I assume, when it goes proper live, along with all the features. But if you want to get an early look, Neon Flytron is the name, and that's out at the moment. Now, you've been playing another racing style game, haven't you?
I have. Forza Street.
Yes. Now, I've only seen this. I've never actually played it, and it came out earlier in the month, didn't it?
Did.
We were talking about it. I may have played a little bit, actually. I lie, because I feel like I've maybe done 5 minutes and gone, But my initial reaction to this was, looks nice, but it's not an actual racing game. It's more in line with something like CSR.
Yes.
Racing.
It's more close to Need for Speed, something like that, or Need for Speed Heat in particular.
Right.
Reminds me a bit of that. You open the game, it's very flashy. It looks gorgeous on mobile for one. It's Electric Square who's developed it, but obviously Turn 10 who's done all the Forza games alongside Playground. So it opens up. It's very flashy. It's got all the Forza style music you'd expect. And then it goes into quite cool cinematography. There's lots of different camera angles that you don't really expect in games, especially on mobile. You don't really see all the inventive camera actions, that are sort of reserved for Hollywood Hollywood blockbusters.
Okay.
So it's quite cool, to see all that. I was like, all right, this is a bit flashy. But then you get into it, and the actual gameplay of it is you're just putting your finger down on the accelerator, and then you've got a boost button for nitro on the left, and that gradually fills over time. But you literally just pushing that down, and then when you get to a corner, when you hit this yellow zone, you let go, and then you go around the corner in the red zone, and then when you come back out in the yellow, you then put your finger down on the throttle again, and that's it.
It's all just about timing, push on, push off, and that. So you're not steering or anything like that.
No, there's nothing like that. I am enjoying it, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a Forza game. it's got the Forza name on it, but I wouldn't say it's a Forza game. I mean, for me, the Horizon games in particular are what brought me into the series. The open world nature, exploring cities, driving around and everything. And that's been cut out altogether. It's simply just a menu where you just tap, the car moves to the next spot, you do another race and repeat. There is a narrative attached. It's very loose. It's just, about rising up the ranks, very generic. There's nothing particularly stand out about it.
The script of a basic Fast and Furious movie, then.
Yeah, pretty much to some extent. It's all about family, barbecues and all that.
Sorry, I had a diesel in my throat.
Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. Very good. But I've lost my place now.
What I'm hearing a lot of here is that it's not great. That's how I read it, and that's how I think I saw it. Like, the problem is people see Forza and go, oh, Forza Mobile, fantastic, and they dive in, everyone goes, oh, what? And then you're going to get that immediate pushback of people like downvoting, going, this isn't Forza. And they're right, they have certain expectations tied to that brand. Problem is that there are lots of games that have been very successful, and CSR Racing and CSR Racing 2 has been a very extreme example of something that tapped into a little niche of like, no, this is just going to be about gear shifting. It's just going to be a rhythm game about picking the exact right moment to dum to dum to dum. And then mostly what it is it's a car garage. That's what CSR is. It's about look at all the cars and spin around the cars and upgrade the cars, and I've got all these cars.
That is what Forza Street pulls from quite a bit, to be honest.
Is it? So it doesn't have the big garage thing of real cars?
Yeah, you've got your car collecting aspect to it all and everything. You've got a roulette wheel style system where you build up credits and then you can spend it, and then it spins around and you get given a car and everything like that. And you can obviously you have a sort of garage and you can look at the different angles of the car, customize it how you want, tune it, everything like that. But I think Forza series is known for different sort of things outside of that. The game, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not particularly standout. I don't think standout-ish.
I think you have to go in there with revised expectations.
Yes, 100%.
And that's the problem. If you're going in expecting an actual racing game, Forza game, then you are going to be very annoyed. But you need to know that that's not what this is. And there are games on iOS and Android that do scratch this itch. There are games that do proper, inverted commas, racing and do it surprisingly well. Like, we always refer back to the Asphalt series, and I'm as surprised as anyone that I promote a Gameloft game, which is traditionally kind of, cribbing from these other ideas from other developers. But no, the Asphalt game has been really good. Like, I don't know what the free-to-play situation is like over there right now, but certainly Asphalt 8 particularly was great. Asphalt 9, which is the one we're in at the moment, Legends. I know that's running and constantly being updated. That's the current free-to-play juggernaut for them. And a lot of people were immediately put off that when they fired it up and went, oh, what, you just swipe? Just change lanes? This is rubbish. This is not proper racing. Not realising that you just go into options and change it to racing mode and you play it like a full racer. Like, that game is much deeper than you initially think it is. It's a proper racing game. Smaller tracks, sure. But the looks and the jumps and the feel of the whole thing is what I liked, where it feels fast, it feels aggressive, the jumps feel dramatic and dynamic, and it's fun to play in that classic old-fashioned arcadey Burnout way.
That's the thing with any car games. It's the feel of it is so important. And I think, this being very stripped back and you just having the pedal and the boost, it does take away a lot from it. It's just simply you push down a button and you don't get a lot of, the cool moments, the feeling you're talking about here. It'd be interesting to see that, like long term, how this does. Because we actually got some stats back this week saying it's done 2 million downloads in a month. But it's only made 500,000.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, still a lot of money, but
still a lot of money.
That's maybe not quite the heights that you want to be scaling with the scale of the property that they've got. They've got Forza. Like, that's
for an established
huge
IP
brand.
like Forza. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I suppose keep an eye on it. But that's out right now for free. If you want to give it a go, it's been out for a while. Back to this week, let's talk about, we've got something called Demon Blade, which has appeared. Now, this has been around for a couple of months, but it's been in a slightly pre-release state, almost early access. Now it's actually out properly this week. And it is a combat game based around the kind of samurai versus Oni theme. And it's a little bit pulling on, I guess, the old-fashioned... I always forget the name of it. Infinity Blade.
Right, yeah,
so gesture-based combat, Now, it's not as free-form as Infinity Blade, where you could just go choo-choo-choo-choo-choo, and your guy just kind of went one-to-one with your motions. This is more about waiting for a stamina bar to charge, and then once you've done that, executing your attack, and particularly doing it at the right time. So you're standing there, it's a sort of 3D presentation, you can see the back of your warrior and the front of your enemy like that, and what you're mostly waiting for them to do is attack, so that you can perfectly time your counter. So they come up and you wait for their tell, and then just before they strike, you swipe and twang, and you get a nice counter in. They get staggered, and then you can maybe get a swipe in over the top of that. So it almost feels a little bit more turn-based because you're waiting for stamina bars to charge. It almost feels like active time battle from something like Final Fantasy, where you're waiting for the ding, then you can attack. But it's powered by gestures, and depending on where you swipe and how you swipe, and also if you tap the screen, that's the putting up the shield, that's where you want to get your block in. And a really nice presentation. Like, it's almost that cel-shaded style. Very, very nicely done. Animations are good, looks nice. The story text aspect, pretty much non-existent. I saw a bunch of spelling mistakes, not very good. But the look is nice, and the feel of, we'll talk about feel again, but getting in the parry at the right time and getting that nice, and then you get staggered, you're like, yes, straight back in. Played it for about 45 minutes or so, had a nice time doing it. Free to play, didn't hit any hurdles at that point, but the hurdles tend to get thrown up in these things after a few hours, don't they?
Yeah, so, I was going to say, yeah.
Who knows how bad or good it gets. But if you like that kind of like deliberate combat and something where you're rewarded for patience and getting the timing exactly right, and you just like the look of samurai stuff, could do worse at the minute. So Demon Blade is the name of that one. I think that's definitely worth a look. We had a nice little puzzler come out as well. A really short little teeny tiny one. And this is from, is it Bart Bonte, his name is? Have you heard of this guy?
I haven't.
Okay, so this is the guy who did Sugar Sugar and a bunch of games which were released under colours. So it was literally just called, blue or green or something like that.
Okay.
And they're very, very minimal. He's feels like a one-person indie. Very, very minimal design, almost like 8-bit, but quite clever puzzlers playing with interesting, weird little dynamics, which we liked. He's done a little lockdown game, itty-bitty one called Words for a Bird. And it is a word-based puzzle game in which you have to try and guess the words in the sentences by clues. And the clues are using letters, and it's all visual. So it's like visual non-verbal reasoning. So you'll see like the letter L, and then written inside the letter L is maybe a letter M. So like literally in the type font of the word, the letter M is then written small, and that's a clue. And you're like, eh? Little M in L. What does it mean? And by starting to sound out what you're seeing in that catchphrase way, if you watch British TV from the 80s, you do start to get it. It's sweet, very stripped down, simple. It's probably one of his most easy to play games, but you might get stuck towards the end. You can ask for hints on that. It's only, I think, 15 levels. It's a proper, like, get in, sit down, play the whole thing, get out. But it's free, and the guy is cool, and it leaves you with a kind of, I'm clever,
he's made
and
that
was
completely
pretty.
under lockdown?
Yeah, it's a lockdown game. You just knocked it out. That's why it's so short.
Yeah.
So it's just a little free lockdown game, and he's like, here you go, enjoy, and have a play. And it's nice, and the puzzles are clever, and you say you'll rattle straight through it, but we thought it was a really nice, good time. So you can get that right now. Full title is Words for a Bird, and you can unlock it because there are ads in there for £1.99 if you want.
Bird is the word.
Sure, I think that's what he was. That's what he was riffing on. What else we got? Oh, do you like Bomberman? Are you a Bomberman man?
I am. I like Bomberman.
All right, I thought you might. So, Bombot's Arena is the latest mobile attempt at doing a Bomberman-style game. This is also out on Steam. I think it has been out for a little while. And online multiplayer, you are competing against 4 to 8 other people, I think. I played both modes when I had a go. And I don't need to explain it because it just is Bomberman.
Yeah.
You know?
I watched the trailer and I was like, yeah, this is completely Bomberman. For good and bad, it looks. I want to try it out. It looks fun.
It's fine. It works. It's decent. Like, it's not great. It feels a bit rough around the edges. Like, some of the presentation isn't spot on. I think people have struggled in terms of connections and hooking up with other people. I didn't have any problems. I was all right with it. I played like 5 games in a row this morning and won some, lost some, had a nice time, leveled up. Everything worked the way it should. I didn't feel like I got cheated out of anything. The controls, it's just a simple, drag around virtual thumbstick and then boop to drop your bombs in the right spot. And there's a bunch of additional stuff they've thrown in terms of customization. So you are a little robot and you can like change the colors and also change your arms and things. These are all additional bits you unlock as you play through. So you can mod your robot character. And then when you're playing the game, as you start to destroy blocks that are in the way, because often I think with the original Bomberman, it was just like the arrangement of the grid, wasn't it? So you had grid, and then all of it was like set in stone, and then you were trying to run around and bomb everybody. Here, you've got the blocks that are set in stone, if you like, and then you've got a load of other blocks that are just occupying space that you can then blow up and get out of the way and smash things to bits, so you can clear a path, so your bomb flame trail can go down and get other people. And when you blow them up, it'll often leave like little power-ups. So you get speed boosts for your little guys so they'll run faster, or you can get the ability to drop more bombs, because initially you can only drop one, and stuff like that. So, little mods and buffs and bits and pieces, but like soup to nuts, it's Bomberman. And it's a perfectly fine working version of it. And it's one of those things where you play it and go, well, I don't think this is the quintessential version of the game by a long way, but the game is so good and kind of timeless in that Tetris way where it's just like, this is immediately fun and I am immediately having fun.
Where is Bomberman? We haven't heard from him for a while, I think.
Has he not turned up in Smash Bros?
He's an assist trophy.
He's an assist trophy.
Yeah, which many people were unhappy about.
But not an actual character you can play.
I think he should turn up as a character. He sort of deserves to. He's one of those old school characters that would fit in well. But yeah, he was sidelined to an assist trophy, which basically just pops up and fights for a little bit and helps you out.
Okay, I assumed he would be front and center.
Yeah, you'd think.
He's a classic. Fine. And the other thing in this, and I don't know how on earth this is supposed to work, but apparently you can rig up 4 controllers to your phone and play local multiplayer.
Yeah, I read this. I was like, oh, okay. This is interesting.
I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, that's what it says, and I did read something else somewhere saying it, and I was like, I've got no capacity to try that here, locked down in this room on my own, but I will be very surprised if that's a real thing that actually works. So, but they claim it is. Either way, it's free to download. It's App Store and Android, and I think it's Steam if you're a PC person as well, and it's got like kind of about 8 out of 10 review-wise on there. It's doing quite well, so yeah, it's not going to blow your mind, but it's Bomberman, and that's good. Yeah,
you can't go wrong.
No. So Bombots Arena is the full name of that one. I guess there's one more. This is the one I haven't played. It's called 2112 TD. So all one word. And
Catchy.
And what it is, it's a tower defense game. So good old-fashioned tower defense, but they've really leaned into the old school of it all by presenting the visuals like the original Westwood games. I mean, Command and Conquer and Red Alert from back in the 90s, the original ones. So it has got that 16-bit, 3/4 view angle down art style, right down to the, troops deployed, Commander, kind of voiceover thing. And even the music sounds like it's doing that, like digital guitar stuff. They've really, clearly embraced that aesthetic of the whole thing. Only this time, it's tower defense and not full RTS, which is fine. I haven't played it. The look is okay. You can see what they're going for. I don't know if it actually feels nice or not. So I cannot lie and say I've had a go at it. But you can certainly find it's a premium game on both the Google Play and the App Store. I think it's about £1.99. It's not too expensive. But if we do get hold of it and check out Pocket Gamer in a day or two or early next week, and we may have a review or some extra coverage. to say if it's any good. But 2112 TD, if you want to try and Google that and find it. I think it's a very good discoverability. We'll see. I take it you haven't played anything else? Anything else good before we check out?
No, I'm trying to think. I've just been plodding along with Animal Crossing.
Still going?
Yeah, I've dropped off a little bit. It's gone down to weekly checkups now at the minute.
Right.
But we have just hit wedding season.
There's a wedding season?
There is a wedding season where you can go to a neighbouring island and villagers will get married and you can do their wedding for them. And it's all lovely and positive and what we need right now.
When you say do their wedding for them, what you mean, like you organise it? You become a wedding planner?
Pretty much. Yeah. You like you decorate what their wedding's going to look like.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's adorable. To me, like having been married twice to the same woman, they still feel, and she did like lots of stuff. We were both involved, but either way, stress. I hear wedding, I hear stress. So to me, playing Animal Crossing to plan wedding sounds stressful.
Well, I'm engaged at the minute, so this is even more interesting. Yeah, because
so have you been planning it out and like going, well, if we put the thing over here, have you been using it as a platform to sort of plot out your special day?
I haven't, no, but I'm waiting for the fiance to jump on and start messing about with it and everything. I'm like, I think that's enough Animal Crossing for one day. Let's have enough of that. Like, can't escape it, James. I can't escape it.
We did it to ourselves.
I know.
And it's a lovely thing to do. But I wasn't expecting that for Animal Crossing. But fair enough, they clearly cover a broad range of interactive experiences over there on the island. Good stuff. All right then, well, I think we'll leave it there for this week. That'll cover us. Thank you, as always, for watching. If you're watching on YouTube and you liked it, we'll do another one again next week. So subscribe and all of that business. And likewise, if you're listening via audio, thank you, as always. Matt, great to have you here again.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll have you back soon, no doubt. In the meantime, go play some great games. Take care of yourselves, everybody else as well, if you can. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.